I'm just gonna go watch a movie.
Welcome to Film Slice, where movies are a form of meditation. Oni Pepperoni here. After digesting my Black Friday sales purchases from the cult movie distributor Vinegar Syndrome, allow me to serve you another slice of self-indulgent performative productivity. Out of the 20 plus movies in the haul, here's what I liked, ranked in ascending order.
I'm gonna give them an opening that they will never forget. Damn right.
Chris, would you do me a favor?
Sure.
I can't reach the backs of my legs or my shoulders. That's good.
Deadly Embrace. A Beverly Hills housewife begins an affair with a gardener. The husband, noticing his wife transforming into the stereotype, also transforms into a stereotype by spying on his wife in order to leave her for a younger woman. It's not a masterpiece, but it is appealing in its own form. That form being the direct-to-video late-night cable softcore movie. Extremely prolific director David DeCoteau improves what is pretty much a schlocky erotic thriller to something that could arguably stack up against its middleweight counterparts. You have these atmospheric scenes that seem way too inspired to be an accident. A lot of the steamy scenes take place with a character literally called the female spirit of sex, and you don't know what's real and what's not. DeCoteau's appreciation for filmmaking finds a way to pierce through the shower of steamy nostalgia. I can totally see some asshole attaching the word Lynchian to this, but let's limit the masturbation to one organ. Ultimately very niche in its appeal, it's as mature as the dick you trace in a foggy bathroom mirror.
Man, look at this place. I wonder how much a place like this costs.
Your very soul.
Man, I told you to knock that shit off. It ain't funny, man.
Witch Trap. A group of paranormal researchers work with detectives in order to exorcise a house. Hokey supernatural vibes and cheesy low-budget goodness. Totally opposite to how one would make a supernatural movie today. As a matter of fact, I would find it difficult for any movie to be made the way Witch Trap was. At first I thought the lead detective was in a completely different movie.
So that's what we're gonna do.
What is this we, white man?
He's a great asshole cop for sure, and I did laugh at some of his quips.
I think I got to be the head of QT Securities.
Sucking a boss's dick?
But still, some others make you go like, what the fuck?
What makes you so sure they're chuckleheads? Maybe this house really is haunted.
Yeah, and maybe your parents aren't really first cousins either, Murph, but I wouldn't lay odds on it, because see, if you're not a direct product of inbreeding, then there really is a God and he's got a personal grudge against you.
Who hurt you? It sticks out especially since a lot of the other performances are low-key, some near catatonic.
Agnes, it's Devin Lauder.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, the secular explanation is that during production, sound was not captured at all.
That was an unproven rumor.
They had to redo everything in post. This explains so much. With this context, the venom-filled delivery of those lines makes sense. Who wouldn't be pissed? Having to record dialogue to make sure it syncs up with the lips, while simultaneously trying to recreate your performance, is an automatic handicap. The ADR process lowers great performances to good, good to okay, okay to bad, and so on. And it's normally used for only a couple lines, not the entire film. This is definitely not a recipe for success. It's more so the ingredients for a direct-to-video speedball suggested for experienced users and very easy to overdose on.
He was Avery Lauder's stage assistant.
Stage assistant? What, this Lauder was an actor or something?
Hardly.
The Passing. Longtime friends, both aging war veterans, ponder life and contemplate their final years. A man is scheduled to be executed. One of the veterans volunteers for an experimental medical procedure. This elicited many feelings. It is serious and played 100% straight. A passion project of director John Huckert, this low-budget film attempts great things and draws lines across mortality and despair. Thoughts on approaching the end of life and loneliness are juxtaposed between an old and young mind. Eschewing traditional plot lines, we are given day-to-day, slice-of-life conversations and activities that are interspliced with sci-fi and genre elements. It's not without the faults of a low-budget movie, and I'm afraid the film's pacing and subject will turn off a majority, which is a shame because by the time the film ends, the universal truths that surface have been communicated in a unique way that could have a salient effect. I think it will be a mirror to anyone who takes a chance to watch it. I can't guarantee it'll make you feel good or bad or change your life. It's not a substitute for therapy. I can guarantee it'll make you think and give you a decent chunk to chew on. That type of film digestion and rewatchability is definitely a minority in the VS catalog. Definitely one to put on with the bros while cracking open a cold one because it needs to be socially acceptable for men to express their feelings in ways that don't involve anger.
God damn! These dope-headed junkies make me sick. That's why niggas in the ghetto can't have shit. Hey, you get
Petey Wheatstraw. Rudy Ray Moore, aka the titular character in the blaxploitation classic Dolomite, and its sequel, Human Tornado, follows up with an occult pivot in this movie, Petey Wheatstraw. Revived by the devil himself, Petey Wheatstraw uses the power of Satan to get revenge on his killers while simultaneously finding a way out of his pact. Dolomite plus the devil, sign me up. The Rudy Ray Moore staples are still present. Stand-up comedy, unique fights, talking in rhyme.
Y'all got a lot of nerve messing with my car. Penny-ante junkies, that's all you are. You'll take from your mama, you'll even take the limbs off of a tree. But I'm gonna kick your ass for messing with me.
Between a demon orgy and a watermelon birth, this movie is all over the place. The scene where he acquires the power of Satan's cane is funny as it is phallic. I'd say back when it was released in '77, people were expecting a third Dolomite and weren't ready for this curveball of a movie. I'd say the pitch is just as effective today as it was then.
Get out of there! It's the ball!
Snapshot. A hairdresser is convinced by a friendly customer to enter modeling. Coming into adulthood and simultaneously coming to the realization that people from her past and potential future are coming to get her. Snapshot is a surprisingly solid thriller. It's not super twisty or violent, but it does a lot of things with panache. It's very clever in its presentation, right to the end, thanks to its meticulous construction. The creation of those elements take time, so it's justifiably a slow burn type of movie. While the coming-of-age beats seem cookie-cutter, a solid performance from the lead sells them. Time spent developing her character added gravity to her choices, however misguided or smart. There's a lot of gray here, and I really dug where the movie ended up. It doesn't seem like the typical movie fare from Vinegar Syndrome, but it is quality nonetheless. Not too bad for the director of 90s animal staples like Free Willy and Operation Dumbo Drop.
Kim, what do you expect me to wear around the house? An evening gown? Or maybe one of the minks your father left me? Ha!
Don't joke about Daddy. No wonder he couldn't stand it here. You could have looked decent once in a while, instead of worrying about dirt and dust and greasy buildups. Maybe then you wouldn't have driven Daddy away. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
Malibu High. A heartbroken and wayward high school senior, Kim, roughs it up for fun and decides to go with it. Blackmail, prostitution, and soon, she's graduating to murder. Beauty and self-destruction. Why? Why not? She's good at what she does and is great at doing bad things. Marketed like a Teen Beach sex comedy, and true to its form, there's lots of toplessness and sex. Coastal cuties aside, everything else here plays like a noir. Jill Lansing, who plays the magnetically bitchy lead, Kim, pretty much carries the movie. Having a charm that makes you get why Ted Bundy is still a thing. It infuses even the most sociopathic moments with cynically bent humor.
Hey, Tony, this is Kim. Yeah, I got a message for you, pal. Get fucked.
Its production sounds like the type of grade A mythical bullshit you'd hear in the video store days. The script was ghostwritten by a very famous writer who remains unknown to this day. The editor was old school European, so they cut the movie like an art film. In Life Imitating Art, Jill Lansing inhabited her character so fully she dropped off the face of the earth, never to appear in film again. I bet you wouldn't even be surprised now if I told you that, like the Candy Snatchers, it's another Tarantino fave. This downward spiral is a fun ride. Ice Cold Crimes, paired with the Malibu Sun, preview the upcoming neo-noir trend popularized by directors such as Michael Mann and William Friedkin.
She's a piece of shit. How could you ever have gone around with a piece of shit like that?
She's just trying to prove something, okay? Don't let her bug you, huh? Come on, let's go, huh?
She's proving something, all right. She's proving she's a piece of shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking over now.
Hands in there. Hands in there. What the hell is going on?
Shut up and turn around and put your hands up.
MMA. MMA, a well-intentioned but naive girl from the South, stays with her extended family out in Los Angeles. Initially shunned, she soon becomes accepted. In trying to help her community, she acts both inside and outside the law. Also known as Black Woman's Revenge, though it's a misleading title, yes, MMA can fight, and yes, her name sounds like MMA, and she kicks the ass of everyone, leaving the movie with an undefeated record. But it's not that type of blaxploitation movie. One could argue that it is not even a blaxploitation film at all, since it mostly plays like a drama. Fighting and conflict occurs when backed in a corner. Abusive relationships, racists, police, and other facets of society are what drive her outside the system and destroy the idealism she had brought with her. What is amazing is how MMA persists despite these obstacles, always open to the possibility of changing things and improving the status quo. When I think of the phrase natural leadership, lately this film has come to mind. It's her spirit that molds these traits into something stronger and in turn helps others do the same. 45 years since this was released, and its relevance today is still glaringly in your face. Strength in action is great. It takes a lot of strength to act, despite feeling like you're banging your head against a mountain, hoping to make a tunnel.
Zoning people sort of turn their heads and...
Zone in my butt! I don't understand. They always talking about how we young people never try to do nothing but use dope and kill each other up in the street. Then when we try to do something the way they say it's supposed to be done, they mess with us and try to shut us down.
the arresting officer had attempted to castrate this man. Fortunately, his sexual apparatus was saved. But one night in prison, he woke up from a nightmare, about the horror of this attempted castration, to find that his penis had grown to frightening limits.
Welcome home, Brother Charles. Out of prison, a man seeks vengeance upon his transgressors using his prehensile penis. Save for the aforementioned appendage that erects this movie into cult status, Welcome Home, Brother Charles is an otherwise gritty and bleak LA drama. Why Charles undergoes the treatment he does is that one of the arresting officers has a fixation on his wife's infidelity with a black man. Indignant white rage escalates what is vanilla pig abuse into literal emasculation by cutting Charles's manhood. Dealing with black fear, sexuality, police brutality, and masculinity, both fragile and hyper, this film was prescient then and is still relevant today, more than 45 years later. I dug the score, very sparse in the film's darkest moments. It highlights the alienation Charles experiences by everyone. The low budget and grit seasons this vibe well, though it's not really subtle in what it's saying. How can it be when there's a scene where a 4-foot penis, which has mind control, strangles a man? Exaggerating stereotypes to the point of parody, this is another perceptive entry by director Jama Fanaka. Paired with his other film, MMA, it shows both sides of the same coin. MMA with a more hopeful and grounded approach. Brother Charles with a weird, surreal vibe wrapped in a darker worldview. Come for the dick, stay for the drama.
This morning, actress Carol Tucker, best known perhaps for her part in TV's long-running series The Villagers, was due to begin work on a new film comedy called Take It or Leave It. But now her part has been recast because last night, Miss Tucker was found stabbed to death in the grounds of a house belonging to her film producer friend, James Garrick, who also owns the North London film studio you can see behind me.
Terror. That's a unique sentence. Isn't that confusing? Is that the best way to report a death? Words are piled on with no regard to relation. Takes a little effort to get, but you know what? It sticks out in a way that many do not. This movie is that sentence. Director Norman J. Warren's film was inspired by the seminal supernatural horror, Suspiria. Both can be very nonsensical on the first watch. It doesn't really matter in Suspiria because it's so enthralling with its visuals and sound that the plot takes a back seat to evocative set pieces and atmosphere. Realizing this, Warren was then released from the shackles of a conventional story.
Oh, Jesus, man, try a bit harder. You look as though you're in pain.
I am in pain.
Terror's foundation were the kill scenes. Stitched between them are interstitials guiding the film with a fleeting vapor of an outline. That outline being a witch's spirit taking revenge on those who executed her, as well as their family line. I get why it's confusing. You've got 3 character POV switches in the first 30 minutes. However, there is an energy which pulses throughout the movie. I expected the kills to be low budget, and they were. However, since they were the foundation of the film, the genuine creativity behind them broke through and added a more incisive effect. Once in that mindset, you realize the narrative pit stops that pace the film together are just as weird. Everyone acts like they're in their own movie and they only happen to be in the same place. A treat for those who don't mind going with the flow. You won't find anything good, but you may find something fun.
You will soon gain entrance to a new and exciting world. A world of exciting new faces, A world of stimulating new people.
Will any of them be men?
Red Roses of Passion. A woman uses a floral sex cult to inflict retribution on her prude mother and sister. I understand the sexploitation film genre as the awkward in-between phase of nude mags and hardcore porn. Director Joe Sarno was a pioneer, and this film is a striking example that makes the argument that there's more to explore beyond titillation. Plays out like a fable almost. We see the sex effects work on randos, then the prude family, and then the unintended consequences. Breaking it down, it's scantily clad pretty people caressing each other with roses. From what we can see, the more caresses, the more stimulated the people get.
The most appealing. And those roses. What happens when they touch you?
Ecstasy. Ecstasy like you've never experienced. Never.
The simple structure and repetition of its beats is a perfect vehicle for foreplay and teasing. Add occult references to Pan, creatively sparse imagery, and layers of meaning, make it just classy enough to justify the transparent negligees. It plays along the line and shows you just enough. Juxtapose that with the mid-60s sexual revolution, and it puts everything into context. And it still plays to the anxieties people have over sex. How long have we been doing this? I don't know, maybe our entire existence? Fuck! Like a hypnodrone or a spell, the film is most effective in unbroken durations. So simple it works, something very different from our era of skips and buffers. It won't hit this hard for some, and it will hit like something completely different for others. I'd say you'll know in the first 10 minutes if this is for you. Well, that was very fun. For me. What do you think? Do you use movies as an escape from reality? How often do you meditate? Are you hydrated? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Are you hydrated? Until next time, this has been Oni Pepperoni from Pizza Party Art. Ciao.
Release yourself.